Hey, happy Tuesday. To those that were able to wake up already, that didn't stay up late for that game last night, the NCAA National Championship, don't come here looking for the results. ESPN's got them all on every show. We're here to talk about combat sports today. So let me ask him this. Are you ready?
I'm definitely ready, bro. Are you ready? Is the question.
I'm always ready. I'm always
Okay.
ready. So we ain't gonna beat around the bush. We're gonna get to the intro before he says something that gets us kicked off the air, because it could happen. It could happen. So,
You know why you're here.
all right, then.
Ladies and gentlemen, batten down the hatches. We'd like to introduce you to the greatest combat sports show bar none. You are now in the Beatdown.
You wanna get beat down?
Let us now introduce you to your host, the Badger, and
Telling you, with that beat and that ring bell, man, look, I'm ready to go. I am ready to go. But I'm gonna fall back because my man is gonna introduce our guest for the day. We got a special guest.
I mean, we do what we can on this show. And we told y'all in 2021 it was only going up from here. So I'm not going to make the introduction very long. I will say this. He is a hell of a fighter. He's a former British champion, four-time international champion. He has 50 wins. Just let that sink in, 50 wins. But on top of that, he's a real one. And he's an author with a story to tell. Hey, Friday Shut Nation, let's welcome Ashley, the treasure of Theophane, to the show.
Hey, appreciate you, champ. The
What's
treasure.
good?
How'd you get that name?
You know what? It's kind of weird. That's actually my granddad's last name. So that's my mum's name. Is that name? So that's why I just used it. So I've got my mum's name and my dad's name together. So that's basically bringing both sides of my family together. So that's what it is.
Wow, I like that. But
That was
Yeah,
hard.
the
yeah.
most important question I have for you today is: do you always come into the entrance music of Juicy?
Nah, I don't. Oh, you know what it was? Because that song there, majority of my career, I've come in with that song because it basically just makes me believe that I've achieved a lot of what folks thought I could never achieve. So when I do that ring walk, it just makes me think like where I came from and where I'm actually now. So it's just to give me a little boost before I go into the ring.
Awesome, awesome.
Man, listen, I love that, champ. I'm excited to have you on this show, bro, because I feel a lot of good positive energy coming from you, bro. I don't want to do this interview
Yeah,
with this service by starting out talking about your boxing career. We're gonna save that for the
yeah,
end. I want to talk
yeah.
about what it's like being Jamaican and I might get this correct, Irish heritage, growing up in the hoods in the UK.
Yeah. Like, it's weird because when I was in the US, like a lot of folks in the US, they don't really know like there's bad spots that like what is out here. So for us, like growing up here, when you're born into like a poor area, the kind of same stuff what goes on in the US is like going on over here as well. So for me as a kid, that was my lifestyle. Like I was on the roads, I was on the streets, and for many times like I didn't actually believe that I would go on to do what I've achieved. So for me, hence that's why I'm proud and I come back home to show the kids like where I'm from. If I could change my life and do what I've done, then you can do it too. Because the same stuff what was going on like when I was a kid is still there now. You know what I mean? So it's the same kind of thing. What's in the US is over here too. So I kind of try to show the kids that yo, I changed my life and I went on to do what I wanted to do, and you can too.
Awesome. Awesome. Um, I see that you're also an avid vitamin user.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, that's
So,
right.
what got you into that lifestyle, especially as an athlete? Just a lot of athletes don't learn how to take care of their bodies at an early
Yeah.
age. I was just kind of wondering what prompted you in that direction.
It was basically when I was kind of young. I wanted to know what to do in it. Like I didn't know what I was supposed to eat. I didn't know what like the vitamins I'm supposed to take. So I used to buy a lot of books and read up on books and stuff. And then I started to do courses as well. Because the weird thing is, there's loads of pros who don't know what to take. They don't know what they should eat. And it's so weird. Like when I was in America and I was with Floyd, a lot of the guys on the team they didn't know what they should be eating. They didn't know like what um vitamins that they should take. So a lot of them they would ask me, and it was just kind of weird that you could get that far in your career and you don't know what you should put into yourself. So for me, like from when I was a little kid, I was into that stuff. I used to buy books and I would read up. So it kind of helped me throughout my career where I knew what to eat and I knew what to take. But it's a shame because there is a lot of like athletes that don't know what they should take, and I think we should learn that from a young age.
I agree.
Now, Champ, you seem to be somebody that's very well versed. Let me ask you, what point was it in your childhood coming up on tough streets? At what point was it that you decided that you were going to take a different path in life? Because you could have easily went the other way. What was that
Yeah.
moment for you?
So when I was 20 years old, I went jail for armed robbery, and I got found not guilty, but it was the point that a lot of the guys, I was like 18 to 19, I was 18 at the time. And a lot of the guys that was in jail with me was going jail for like 10 years or for life and stuff. So I thought if I get out, I'm going to just go on my career and just give my all to that, and I'm going to stay off the streets. So when I was inside for night for 6 months. So when I did get out, I was like, I just started to stay on my own and I would just go gym, home, because I saw that so much of your life can get wasted by doing the wrong thing, by being around the wrong crowd. So I kind of just stepped away from that and just said I'm gonna give my all like to this sport. I was like, this is my way that I can fulfill my dreams or do my the sport that I love. So that's kind of what it was. I went jail and I was like, this ain't. I don't want to be like a lot of my peers who are in jail for like most of their life. I want, and the weird thing is, when I was in America and I was doing my thing, there was a lot of guys who I was friends with, like when I was young, who were in jail and were saying that they're so proud of me that it changed my life because they were in jail. They're grown men now, and they kind of was proud that I kind of went on and I done the sport that I had some skills in.
Awesome. Hey, we've seen so many people go down the wrong path, but it's nice to highlight somebody who headed down that path and turned it around.
Yeah,
I applaud
yeah.
you for that, champ. Um, Going back a little bit to your diet, did you
Mm.
ever take the time to follow anybody like Dr. Sabi, or there's a guy online now, Shaka Bars, who was an athlete and deals with like fruits and roots and stuff like that?
Um, I know a little bit about like what they do, but I haven't like gone into a lot of it. But I know like fruits and veg, and I follow some other stuff that kind of like just tells you what it can do for you, like the alkaline stuff can do for
Yes.
you to cleanse yourself. So I'm on some other guys' page. I'm not on their pages, but I try to keep up with what's good for you, and that's why a lot. I don't want to say that's why a lot of us blacks we die of certain illnesses because it's weird. We're raised on a lot of food that is not good like for us,
Right.
and it's kind of it's hard. Some of us are starting to change, but a lot of us, because we've eaten it from when we were young, it's hard. It's hard for us to change habits. So it's kind of, and it's in the black, Caribbean, black African Americans. It's a lot of us. We eat the same kind of bad foods that we've been brought up on, and a lot of us we can't change that because it tastes good. It tastes good, which is bad, but it's not good for us as well.
It's interesting you say that because Dr. Sabi used to always say, and he was the one that really made the alkaline lifestyle popular here in the States. He would make the statement that when they took the African out of Africa, they didn't bring his food with him.
Yeah,
Going to the same point that you made.
yeah, yeah. Very true.
So, Champ, I see that you were someone that was very active and front and center with the Black Lives Matter movement. I would just like to get a take, an honest take from you. With the racism that you see that goes on here stateside in the U.S.,
Yeah.
does that look anything similar to the racism that you guys experience over in the UK?
So it's weird. I'm kind of to say Trump was there for 4 years. And we have a guy over here now who's kind of like the Trump over here. For years, when I was a kid, um, whites would act like it's in our head that racism don't exist. It's in our head. So I've kind of been glad to see the last 4 years or whatever it is because you can't hide it now. That it's in our face, and even whites they know that it's going down. So it's not as strong over here, but hence we still done the marches because there's a lot of racial stuff that goes on here, and it gets brushed under the carpet. So the racism is not as bad as over in America, but it's still going on, and I was kind of proud that a lot of people said that they've had enough, and they're gonna start to march, and they're gonna start to make like some noise.
Oh, okay, yeah. I always wonder because I know being in America, everything is always a Western view, so we don't really get
Yeah,
to see the stories of things that happen to you guys over there.
yeah,
So for a lot of us, we kind of feel like it's not as bad over there. So to actually get it from someone that's
yeah.
born,
No,
raised, and still live there.
yeah. All right. So when I was like 5 years old, my is when I first found out. Cause my dad he came here from the Caribbean when he was a child. So when my dad came over here, there was racism because all of the white boys they didn't like that the Caribbeans had come over. So my dad, so going back to when I was a kid, my dad and his peers they had to fight the white boys here a lot. So when I was a kid in school, I didn't understand. My dad said, it's bad to say, but I was 5 years old and he said, never come back from school and let me know that a white boy beat you up because I will beat you up again. So if I ever got into a fight at school, but I didn't understand as a kid. I didn't understand. So it's only when I've gotten older that I found out a lot of people they stopped me in the street and they told me that my dad used to fight with police as a child because they would try to stop the black boys a lot. And so it's only when you grow up that you find out what your peers or your dad's times what they had to go through. So hence why my dad used to say never let me find out that like you got like some white guys have tried to do this or that you so as a kid, my dad would always make or put into me to stand up for myself.
It's funny you say that, champ, because my dad was the same way over here. he was he did just certain things he did not tolerate,
Yeah,
and that was one of them. Nice as he
yeah.
was, he did not tolerate me coming home saying, "Well, Dad, some no." The first time, the only time I ever did that, he took me back to the kid's house.
Yeah,
And
you
he
go
said, "You
fight.
can either fight him or you can fight me." Now, mind you, I had just finished first grade, and this kid was in
Oh,
fifth grade.
okay.
So on my way, I said, I can't beat my dad. My best shot, even though this kid's older than me, my best shot is to fight him. So on my way to
Yeah. You
him,
got to go.
I saw a stick, and me and that stick wore that kid out.
Yeah, you gotta do what you gotta do.
But it's a shame that it's that way, and it's funny
Yeah,
when I hear you use the term black, because that's a term that actually started from my research on this continent in the 1600s. And the
yeah,
fact that we took all of our influence, well,
yeah,
not we, but the people who started our government here took all of their
yeah,
influence and leadership from Britain, but yet we sent that term over there. That's crazy.
yeah, 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 yeah. It's nuts.
So, Champ, you are an avid world traveler, man. I think that's one thing the sport of boxing has also helped you to be able to
Yeah.
do. Man, is there anywhere that you haven't been, Champ, that you want to go?
No, I've been to a lot of spots. Like, so basically, um, 3 years ago, I left Mayweather Promotions, and I wanted to fight back home before I retired, and I couldn't really get no fights back home. So I thought I'd always like going abroad to have fights. So I said, you know what, I'm gonna do a world tour, like to end my career, to kind of just have some. Because when you're pro and you're like, I was with Floyd for 5 years, it's stressful because I represent me, but at the same time I represent Floyd. Like whenever I go in that ring, I represent Floyd. So it was just stressful. So I said, you know what? I want to go on a world tour where I kind of just have fun and just have fights all over the world. And it was kind of great to go to Africa. I went to Mexico, to Hungary, to Poland, and to go to all these spots. And they knew who I was. They knew what I had achieved, and it was just kind of nice to sign my career out, just kind of having fun and going around the world, just meeting these fans that I didn't know knew I existed. So it was fun. It was, it was fun.
Awesome. How did you come about getting signed to Floyd's Promotions, and what was the feeling when it finally actually happened?
So at the time I was British champion. I was British champion for like a year and a half, and then one of my camps, I had gone over to Floyd's gym. I think he was gonna fight Cotto. And I had gone over there for 2 weeks. I had met Floyd there and I trained at the gym and he was cool with me. So I lost the British. I was no longer British champion. And my career in the UK was kind of stalled. So I thought, you know what? I'm gonna go back to Floyd's gym because Floyd showed me love. Like when I went there for 2 weeks, so I'd gone over there for a month. Went there, and Floyd was like, "Oh, you were back." So I was like, "Wow!" I'd been gone a whole year, and Floyd had remembered me. So I said, you know what, I'm gonna stay here. So then I would go out for runs with Floyd. Like Floyd would watch me spar, and he kind of knew a little bit about my career, and he just said that he wanted to help me in my career to go to the next stage. And that's pretty much I was there for like 2 months, and it's when he beat Robert Guerrero straight afterwards. He just said, yeah, like this is actually Theophane, and he's part of my team now. And then I was with Floyd for 5 years, and it was the last 3 years of his career, so it was kind of nice to see, to take in so much of what he does that makes him great, and to be part of his team for the end of his career, just seeing like behind the scenes.
Awesome.
Now, since we opened the boxing bag, now I want to get to these kind of questions. What
Yeah.
were those sparring sessions like with Floyd? Because I know y'all got in there and mixed it up a lot. What was it like trying to hit Floyd Mayweather?
So I sparred Floyd around 4 to 5 times. I was part of his team for the Canelo fight and for the Berto fight. So for me, there was sometimes like the first time I sparred Floyd, I just joined his team. So I was like, oh man, I didn't want to spar him because I just joined his team, and I had the weeks before that he had been KOing a lot of his guys that he had gotten in the ring with. So I was like, damn, like I don't want that to be me. So I get in the ring and I'm like, it's Floyd Mayweather there, and I'm like, at first it's just like, wow, this Floyd. And then but when a lot of times when guys sparred Floyd, they either got nervous so he beat them up, or they shined and then they sparred well with him. And with me, whenever I was in the ring with Floyd, I kind of shot like I would fight to my best because I was like I'm fighting the world's best. I didn't go within myself. I kind of fought the best that I could fight. So a lot of times it was just for me it was fun to be in the ring with the best. Like if you made a mistake, he made you pay. Like it was one of those kind of things there. You had to be so sharp. And I always remember he asked me once, like, what do you think that I do the best that no one else don't do? And I said, for me, it's your mind. Whenever I was in the ring with Floyd, you get tired because he's trying to set traps, and and you gotta be on your A game. If you're not on your A game, he's gonna make you pay. So that was always the thing with me, that my mind was tired because you had to be so on point with him.
Nice, nice. He beat me to that question because I was sure going to ask. Um, what the in the whole experience you had with him, what is one thing you regret not experiencing being in that camp?
I would say I could have went to his house a few times, but I never went. So I would say that I should have went, but I just because they because I'm like an early bird and they're all night owls. So I would always be out with them and I'd be like, I'm going home. And then they would go to Floyd's house to hang out, to chill and stuff. And I kind of never did that. I just would always say, like, I don't care, like I'm just gonna go home and relax and chill. But in hindsight, I would have liked to have gone to the man's house to see all the cars on show there and to thing around. So that's one of the things in hindsight that I wish that I did just stay around and just chill till the early hours and go and do that. Because that would have been great.
There were two particular fights that I wanted to ask you about. The first one was the fight against Adrian Broner.
Okay.
Um, were you completely 100% healthy for that fight? And if there was anything that you could change about what happened in the ring, I mean, obviously not the outcome, but if you could do some things differently in the fight, what would they be?
You know what is I had such a great camp like for that. It's kind of shame sometimes. Like you can feel like a beast in the gym and be so on point. Everything was on point. Like what I wanted to do, I wanted to go in there and just throw. His thing was he doesn't throw a lot, and I just wanted to kind of make him work where you know what I mean. Like I'm just throwing, and he isn't like just his output was always not good. So I wanted to just make sure that I threw twice as much as him. And going into the fight, everything was on point to be able to do that. But when I got in the ring, I didn't do that. So that's kind of the hardest thing. When I look back, I was in such great shape and everything like was on point. But it's when I got to the fight, I didn't produce what I was doing in the gym. So that's kind of I was in shape, so I can't say I wasn't in shape, whatever. I had a long camp, so everything was on point. Just on the day, at the end of the day, as Floyd says, he says some days I might have a bad day in the gym, but when the lights are on, I never had a bad day. And sometimes you only get one shot to shine. That was my big chance. It was like I always wanted to fight. It wasn't about me going in the ring against AEB. It was about I was going in the ring for the world belt. That had always been my dream as a child. And to go in there and not kind of fight to what I was doing in the gym beforehand, that's kind of what upsets me when I talk about it or if I have to relive it. 'Cause I didn't produce my best on that night. You know what I mean? So but as well, even though it's not an excuse, but I got hit low by AB, and then when I complained to the referee, he thought I was trying to quit, and then he stopped the fight. And so the referee didn't see the low blow because he was on the other side. If he saw it from the other side, he might have said whatever. But it is what it is. You know what I mean? I was 3 rounds behind on the scorecard, so it was what it was. It is what it is.
Wow, champ. That's it's always, to me, I love this job because we get to hear things from the boxer's perspective.
Mm,
And it always seems to clear everything up when you talk to the people who are actually in the ring and involved with
yeah.
what's going on. Who is the one fighter that you always wanted that you never got a crack at?
There was some great fights. Lament Peterson was a fight that I would have loved to have had. Um, there were some fights that I got offered, but they were like just last minute fights. Amir Khan, at a time in our career, Amir Khan was the world champion and I was the British champion, so we was the 1 and 2 in Britain. So that would have been a great one, like for me. But I kind of fought who I could have fought, like at the time. You know what I mean? I fought a lot of good guys who were around at the time, and yeah, it is what it is. You at the end of the day, you sometimes in this career, you have to make the best of the cards that you were dealt. And for me, I made like coming from where I came from, I made the best of the cards that I was dealt.
Gotcha.
Now, champ, I don't think that people give you enough credit for being a solid fighter that you were. You had a hell of a run and a great career. Another fight that stood out to me on your ledger. I don't know if you get asked about it a lot, but you beat DeMarcus Chop Porter. That in and of itself is not an easy feat. Can you talk about that fight and what that meant to you as far as where your career was trending?
Yeah, so when I beat Chop, that was 2008, I think. And when I beat him, um, I was the underdog at the time. Like he had just lost to a world number one. So he had fought Alexander for the world number one spot. So when I beat him, like he was still ranked in the top 10, and that was like a big win for me. So that kind of put me on the map because a fight that was supposed to go down straight after that, because I was supposed to fight Zab. So I was supposed to fight Zab at it was on the Roy Jones and and Calzaghe card. So I was supposed to
Mm,
fight him on that. But we were training at the same gym, so he didn't know me then. I know him now, but he didn't know me at the time. And so we trained at the same gym, but I came early and he used to come late. So it's only when members of his team found out that he was supposed to fight me, like they must have said to him, it was only supposed to be like an easy fight, like for him. So when they found out that he was supposed to fight me, they must have said to him, yeah, like, yo, like this kid can actually fight. He just beat Chop. So so in the end they didn't go for me, and then they went for some easy fight. But that was I was supposed to fight Zab 3 times in my career, and like 3 times it fell through. So that would be the one fight that I wanted to go down because I was a fan of Zab. So when I was actually with Floyd, me and Zab and me and Chop, we all sparred together. So I was spar with Zab and Chop at the same time. So we were cool at that point. So that was like fun because when I was a kid, I was a fan of Zab because Zab in his time he was great. You know what I mean?
Wow. So, would you, boxing in general, what is the greatest thing boxing has given you that you could not have gotten anywhere else?
You know what I'll say? Through this sport, I've got to make some great friends, like some friends for life, like different points of my career. I've made connections with certain guys that we never would have made connections with. So that's probably one of the best things is that my best friends are from this sport. You know what I mean? And yeah, like that's even with Floyd. Like I left TMT like 3 years ago or 2.5 years ago. But whenever Floyd is in town, I meet up with Floyd and we hang out and stuff. So again, me and Floyd, like we're also cool as well now, even though I'm no longer like part of TMT, but we're still friends. So that's great as well. So for me it's that I just had some great times through doing this sport, and without this sport I would never have met some friends for life.
Are you ever gonna go to his house?
Who knows? You never know. You never know. You never know. You never know. You never know.
So, Champ, one thing that we both share in common is we both feel like Roy Jones Jr. in his prime was the greatest guy that ever laced up a
Oh,
pair of gloves. Now, with you being from the UK
100%.
and Roy unfortunately caught them hands from Joe, how do you feel about it?
Well, say again.
I say, since we both love Roy so much, how did it make you feel when he caught those hands from your fellow countryman Joe Calzaghe?
Um, See, for me, Roy Jones during his peak, he loses to no one. That's how I feel. Um, he's lost to a lot of guys that he would not have lost to, like in his peak. If he had retired straight after he beat John Ruiz, he would have been known as the greatest of all time. But he went on for too long, and he's lost to a lot of guys that he never would have lost to. So it's just how our sport is. We've seen it with a who's who of everyone. You can look at a long list of greats, and 99% of them have gone on for too long. It's just what we do in this sport. But for me, Roy Jones is he is the best ever. Like he is the greatest for me.
I give Roy Jones a hard time, but I give him his credit. Yeah,
Yeah,
he is one of the greatest on my pound for pound
yeah,
greatest list of all time. He is on there.
yeah,
What
yeah.
now? What led you to get out?
So for me, sometimes one, I don't like to lose weight no more, and it just but I love. Like it's hard. Like you do it your whole career, and sometimes you just feel like I've done all I can do in this sport, and it's all about the youth now. It's the next generation. You even see Floyd now. He's trying to train like some of the guys in TMT, like the young guys in TMT. So it's all about the young guys now. I've had my time. I've done what I've achieved everything I'm ever going to achieve. So now I'm just trying to open up my own gym, like over here, and it's all about the kids now. It's all about the kids now.
So I see a lot of boxers do that. They leave
Yeah.
the fight game and they open up their own gyms. How do
Yeah.
you believe opening your own gym is A gonna help the kids and B help you in this next journey in your life?
So for me, my whole thing after my world tour, my thing was like I need my gym to keep me occupied, because otherwise I got nothing. Like this is what I've always done in my life. So for me to train with these kids is a way of me to bide my time and to pass on what I've done. And me, I'm from the UK, but I spent like 12 years of my career like in the USA. So so for me, I learned so much from so many guys in the USA, and I just want to pass on what I learned. So for me, that's kind of like what I would want to do, and that's how I want to spend my next years, like just trying to pass on and to help a lot of these kids, to be the best that they can be. And again, with the gym that I'm from over here, it's called All Stars,
Mm-hmm.
and that is kind of saved so many young guys from a life of crime, or it's just brought so many guys together. So that's the same thing. What I want to do with my gym is to help a lot of these guys who are on the streets, who are on the roads, to say, "Yo, come off there, and you know what I'm saying, just try do this thing here." And Joshua, he used to be on the roads, and he found the sport, and he changed his life. So
Really?
you know what I mean? So
Yeah,
this
I heard
sport has
that.
done so much. You know what I mean? So this sport has helped so many guys.
I never heard that about Joshua.
Yeah,
Yeah,
bro,
because
that
they
was
don't
a
put it out
thing.
there. But yeah, he went jail for a little thing, or he got a conviction, and then it was this sport that helped him.
Okay.
Wow. So, Champ, what has being an author from the beginning, from the inception of the process? You said, okay, I'm going to write a book. Then
Yeah.
having the discipline to go through that process, to then actually releasing your book and putting it out there for sale, people reading that. What has that entire process taught you about yourself?
When I went through the book and I had to read the book, I was like yo, one, I used to it was like the perseverance that I had. Because the thing was, I've been writing this book for over 10 years. So when I was in the USA, I would just write notes down like what's going on and what's going on and stuff. So from the start till now, what I've actually achieved is crazy. Like when you read my book and you see the start, like where I was coming from to like, all right, so when like 20 years ago, there was like some drugs war like was going on, and my friends was in some beef, so people got killed around me. So just to know that I come from that to being with Floyd Mayweather, that's kind of like just crazy, knowing that I might not even have got that far. I could have been killed. A lot of my friends, there was some friends got killed, whatever. But to know that I changed my life and I went on to do this sport, it's just kind of crazy. So the book, it starts off with me on the streets, like doing what I was doing, and then I go jail, I change my life, and then I start to box, and then you see all of the kind of bullshit that I have to go through in the sport, but I still ended up being with Floyd. It just shows you to don't quit, because you never know when you'll get that break.
I love that. I love that. I hate to jump off of it. Hopefully, we'll get back to it. But
Cool, love.
I had a question that popped up in my head. We did
Go
an
on.
interview with Florida boxing legend Nate Campbell. And Nate
Okay, Nate.
Campbell,
Yeah.
he made a statement. He said, this generation of fighters is way softer than the generation before it because they're not getting the old school training that's now going to the Eastern Europeans, the Russians, and the Brits. He said the American black fighter probably won't achieve what he used to achieve in this sport going forward because they don't have the grit that they did when they were receiving the more old school training. Would you agree with that?
I would say so. For me, I've always preferred the U.S. style of training. Um, so for me as a kid, when I used to look for guys, I used to say I've worked with guys like Eddie Moore, Starfar, like guys like that. I like a lot of the old school guys. That's who I like to be around. So I still prefer the kind of USA style to like the European style. But I understand what he's saying, because whenever I used to spar with US like American guys, they had a lot of skills, but it's like they didn't train hard. So even if they had more skills than me, I would always think in my heart that I'm gonna break them down because they don't train as hard as I train. So that was always my kind of mentality. I didn't care if the first 2 or 3 rounds that they got the better of me, because I always thought that I'm in great shape and I'm tough and I got a never say die kind of thing. So my thing was that I'm always going to break them down. So I think Floyd as well, he used to see that in me. So he used to love the way that I train, that I just come in the gym and I just train hard and I don't chat to no one. Because a lot of guys in the gym, they like to play around and they don't train hard. So I can understand what Nate is saying, because me coming from over here and going over to the USA, like my thing was that I always thought that I could break down a lot of these American guys in the gym, because I just thought that they wasn't built as hard as I was.
Indeed, I understand. I understand. Yeah, that was definitely a conversation that we had with Nate Campbell. So I'm so glad that you remember that, bro. That was an excellent question. Um,
Yeah.
so, Champ, what's next for you on your bucket list? I know you got the gym, that's in the works. You've written the book, you travel the
Yeah.
world, you've been to the top of the sport. What is that left for a Renaissance man like you to do?
So for me, like right now, my like for this year now, like my kind of aim is just kind of to get the gym there and to push my book. So that's kind of the aim for now, because we've gone through like Corona. Corona's just kind of stalled a lot of lives for like the past year. So going into this year, it's just kind of making my gym a reality, and I'm pushing my book. You know what I mean? So that's kind of that, man. Just getting it out there more.
Okay. All right. I I wish we could talk for hours because just listening to you,
Hmm.
all these questions keep pouring into my head. But I'm gonna ask one that's very unpopular right
Go
now.
on.
You said 12 years training in the States.
Yeah.
You're from the UK.
Yeah.
How do you feel about the mess that's going on with Fury, Joshua, and Wilder right now?
Um. All right. So for me, I would have wished that Wilder had fought AJ like for the 2 years or whatever they were going back and forth. I had kind of wished that they had got the fight on, because now for Wilder, I don't know kind of where he is now, because he's kind of like on the outside now. Unless he can get this third fight, it's just the way the rematch went. It was kind of weird the way that he just crumbled. So I don't know how he's gonna come back. But with AJ and Fury now, for Britain, that's a big fight. I hope it could go down for this year. Um, I grew up in a time when the champions they fought each other. So for me, like I come through the 80s when everyone they fought each other. So it's kind of frustrating nowadays where even with Spence and Crawford, is a lot of the guys who they just go back and forth with each other, and we don't actually get the fight for many years to come. So with AJ and Fury, I kind of hope they can fight each other while they're in their prime. So I hope that this year that they can get the fight to be made. With Wilder, he's just kind of on the outside now. I kind of feel. I think right now is the two champions is AJ and Fury. So I would like them two to fight each other if it's two times, and then Wilder to come in after. But I just want the best to fight the best. Me as a fan, coming up when I was a fan, when you watch Ali and all of these guys there, they fought each other. I just want the best to fight each other. So that's kind of where I stand with, and I think you know it is what it is. It's just frustrating as a fan. You want to see the fight, so that's just where I kind of stand. I just want to see the fight.
Who was your first pro debut against, and how did you feel?
My first fight was against Lee Bedell. I was nervous. I always remember my first fight. I was kind of like, it's now. Like I've always wanted this since I was a kid. So I was like, yo, Ashley, it's time to shine. Like my family was there, my friends was there, and I actually fought good. Like I won in the third round or whatever it was, and so that's still I remember. I always remember that fight in my head because you never forget your first fight. So yeah, that was the start.
Man, that is awesome, champ. And I got one more question because we don't want to keep you up very long. Top three fighters in the world right now, regardless of weight class, who are they?
Canelo, I got Canelo as one. I think Canelo's the pound for pound guy, like right now. Um, who else is there? Canelo, Usyk, and then it's either out of Spence or Crawford, like one of them two. I'm not sure who I would put there, but yeah, I'll put those would be like my top four. But yeah, but Canelo I have there, then I have Usyk there as well up there as well.
Okay.
Nice list, champ. Nice list.
We have a game that we play on this show, champ, called 5 rounds, one punch. Would you play it
Go
with
on,
us?
go on, go on.
All right. So we have 5 questions, and the first thing that comes to your mind that I ask you, you got to say it. Don't think it over. Just say it.
All right.
Okay. Uh, round one. Fish and chips from the UK or the US?
UK.
Manchester United or the Los Angeles Lakers?
Man United.
Margaret Thatcher.
Mean.
Queen Elizabeth.
I'm not a fan of them, so I'm not a fan of the royal fans.
Okay. Good answer. Um, man, I had this one in my head, but I think I better pass on it.
Go ahead, let it rip.
Parliament or
Parliament.
yes, Parliament.
That's the word.
Huh?
So my thing would be to that is Guy Fawkes.
Okay.
So do you understand that?
Yes. Yes.
You understand that? Guy Fawkes tried to burn it down.
Yes.
So that's why he comes to my mind when you say that.
Champ, I appreciate you. These are some of the best answers I think I've gotten.
Yeah, that was pretty dope. The guy Fox was dope. I didn't see that coming at all.
I didn't
That
see
was
that
dope.
down. And it was hanging in my head, and I couldn't figure out why I wanted to ask you about Parliament. So I'm glad the Badger encouraged me to go ahead and ask you that question.
All right, champ. But listen, we ain't gonna hold you, brother. Let everybody know out there in Fighter Straight Nation where we can keep up in contact with you.
I'm Ashley Theophane and AshleyTheophane.com.
All right, champ. Listen, you are now officially a member of the club. We will be chatting with you soon. Hey, when the fights get ready to happen, we're gonna tap in with you so you come back and give us some more game.
All right, my man. Much love. All right,
Much
cool.
love. Appreciate you.
Peace.
Wow, that was a dope interview, bro. He is, yeah, yeah, he is probably one of the best interviews we've had on here. Appreciate him,
Yeah,
man.
man, real solid dude, man. It just told like it was. Like you said, that conversation could go on for much longer, but we know that y'all need a little bit of a break from us, only to come back and see us again tomorrow. We appreciate y'all tuning in with us. What else we got, bro?
Listen, I said I'm not going to talk about football, so I'm not going to talk about the Steelers laying an egg. I'm not going to talk about the NCAA football championship that probably shouldn't have happened. But if your team won, congratulations. I will talk about it later in the week, though. But thank you all. Tomorrow, we have our more reform show where he actually wears underwear. Um, so we're looking forward to tomorrow for multiple reasons. Hey, shout out to Ashley Theophane for giving us that interview, man, all the way from across the pond. So, yes, and some of y'all like, what pond? The Atlantic Ocean, bro. Just the UK, United Kingdom. So, hey, I keep hearing about British fish and chips, man, as opposed to American fish and chips, and that's on my bucket list. So I guess I got to get over there so I could try it. Although I got to make sure they don't fry their fish in bacon, because some of them actually fry it in bacon grease, and that's what gives it that, I guess, the different taste.
Things that you learn on this show.
Yes, came here for combat and learned that sometimes they fry fish in bacon fat. um, Look, I learned so much from him, man. But we're not gonna keep y'all. Shout out to my wife, my daughter, my mom, my pops, Fighter Share Nation, Alex DeGracia, for tuning in when you're able to. We appreciate all you all, Miss Darlene. Hey, this year's getting kicked off right. Hope you all love these interviews. Chime in, um, and the fact that we're not only coming across on YouTube today, we're also coming across on Facebook. Welcome back, Facebook.
Hey, that pretty much sums it up. 2021 getting off to the right start. As the kids say, it's going up. From here, we will see y'all tomorrow on our more refined show. I may or may not have them things on. Depends on how to hang around in my establishment. Give a little cheer, a little love out there to your people, man. Mental health is real stuff out there for people. Hey, get your money. If you getting your money, get to the bag. You got to get to the bag. We'll see y'all tomorrow. We out here. Fight Nation. Peace.